The light came on without warning. On the phone screen, the basement camera refreshed, adjusted its exposure, and showed the same concrete floor it always did. Shelving against the far wall, a furnace in the corner, the staircase vanishing upward into shadow, and then, without a sound, the single bulb mounted above the washing machine brightened, filling the room with a dull yellow glow. The man was sitting alone in the living room when it happened. The house was quiet in the way it always was late at night, settled and inactive, the kind of silence shaped by closed doors and powered-down rooms. He had been watching the live feed absent-mindedly, scrolling through notifications with the camera window still open. There had been no motion alert, no warning chime, just the light. He did not move immediately. The camera view did not show anyone in the frame. Nothing crossed the lens. The stairs remained empty, the shelves unchanged. The light stayed on. The house itself had no history worth mentioning. It was a two-story home in a residential area where houses were close enough to see porch lights through neighboring windows, but far enough apart to keep noise contained. The basement was unfinished, functional rather than lived in, a space meant for storage and utilities. The camera had been installed months earlier after a series of petty break-ins in the wider area, nothing directly related to the house itself. The system was basic but reliable, connected to motion sensors and controlled remotely through an app. The basement light had a switch at the top of the stairs. There were no smart bulbs, no automation routines, no motion activation. The man continued watching the feed. The camera timestamp confirmed the moment had just occurred. The system logs showed no alert. That absence was the first thing that unsettled him. He waited for the light to turn off. It did not. Minutes passed. The feed remained unchanged. No sound came through the audio channel. The basement appeared exactly as it should, except for the fact that it should have been dark. Eventually, he set the phone down and walked through the house, checking each room methodically. The front door was locked, the back door secured, windows closed. The stairwell leading down to the basement was empty. From the top step, the light below was clearly visible, steady and bright. He turned it off. The switch responded normally. The basement fell back into shadow. Nothing moved. Nothing followed. When he returned upstairs, the sense of unease lingered, but did not yet have shape. That night passed without further incident. The next evening, he watched the live feed again. This time, the light came on while he was already focused on the screen. There was no delay, no flicker. One moment, the basement was dark. The next, illuminated. The camera adjusted again, brightening the image, revealing the same unoccupied space. The man checked the system logs immediately. Still nothing. No motion detected. No manual activation registered. He reviewed earlier footage. Hours of darkness. No sign of interruption. The house remained silent around him. No footsteps above. No sound from below. He did not go to the basement that time. Over the following days, the pattern repeated. The light activated at irregular intervals. Sometimes while he was watching. Sometimes hours before he noticed. Each time, there was no recorded trigger. The camera never showed movement. The light always turned on cleanly, decisively, as if someone had flipped the switch with purpose. He tested the wiring, checked the switch plate. There were no visible faults, no flickering, no power fluctuations anywhere else in the house. A second camera was installed, angled toward the base of the basement stairs. It showed the same thing, darkness, then light. Still no movement. The house itself began to feel different in ways that were difficult to define. Not louder or colder, not altered in any physical sense, but the man found himself paying closer attention to spaces he used to pass through without thought. Doorways, corners, the pause between rooms when the lights were off. The basement feed became something he checked compulsively, before bed, when he woke up, while eating, while working. The app remained open more often than not. One night, the light turned on and stayed on for hours. He watched the feed from the couch. The glow of the screen reflected faintly in the darkened living room. The basement was empty. The shelves cast long shadows across the floor. The stairs remained clear. Then, briefly, the camera exposure shifted. It was subtle, a momentary adjustment, the kind that usually happened when something changed in the room. The image sharpened, brightened slightly, then returned to normal. Nothing had moved. The man rewound the footage and played it again. The same shift occurred at the same timestamp. The camera behaved as if something had entered the frame, even though nothing appeared. That was the first time he considered the possibility that the camera was reacting to something it could not display. The next morning, the basement light was off. The system logs showed nothing. He checked the wiring again. No faults. No loose connections. No explanation. The following evening, the light turned on while he was standing at the top of the basement stairs. He did not touch the switch. The light came on below him, bright and immediate. The camera app buzzed softly in his hand, refreshing the live feed at the same moment. From where he stood, he could see the basement directly and on the screen simultaneously. Both views matched. Both were empty. He did not go down. That night, sleep came late and shallow. The second character in the house noticed the change before it was explained. She had lived there just as long, shared the same routines, the same unremarkable familiarity with the space. She noticed the light on when it should not be, noticed the man checking his phone more often, lingering in doorways. She did not see the footage herself. She did not need to. The house began to feel occupied even when it was not. The light began turning on at times when both of them were in the same room upstairs. There were no alarms, no notifications, just illumination. The man began recording the screen with a second device whenever he watched the feed. He cataloged timestamps, compared days. There was no pattern, no consistent hour, no correlation to movement in the house. One night, while reviewing footage from earlier in the week, he noticed something he had missed. At the exact moment the basement light activated, the audio waveform spiked. He turned the volume up. There was no recognizable sound, just a brief distortion, like pressure against the microphone. It lasted less than a second, too short to isolate, too vague to classify. He played it again. The waveform appeared even when there was no visible change in the image. From then on, he began to watch for it. The next time the light came on, the audio spike was there. Still nothing visible. The sense of being observed crept in slowly, not as a certainty, but as a question that never fully went away. The man found himself avoiding the basement stairs altogether, avoiding standing too close to the doorway. The camera feed became the only way he acknowledged the space below. One evening, the feed refreshed and showed something new. The light was on. The basement was empty, but the camera exposure did not settle. It continued adjusting, brightening and dimming in small increments, as if trying to resolve a shape that refused to take form. The audio channel showed sustained activity, low-level distortion that did not stop. He watched for nearly an hour. Nothing entered the frame, nothing left. Eventually, the light turned off. The audio spike ceased. The camera image stabilized. The house returned to its previous stillness, but the absence felt staged, temporary. The man did not sleep that night. Days later, he noticed a discrepancy in the footage timestamps. The camera clock had shifted by several seconds during one of the activation events. It corrected itself immediately afterward. The system logs showed no interruption. He checked other cameras in the house. Their timestamps were unaffected. Only the basement feed showed the anomaly. That night, the light came on again. This time, something changed. The camera exposure adjusted sharply, flooding the image with brightness. The shelves blurred at the edges. The furnace lost definition. The stairs appeared deeper than they should have been, stretching downward beyond their physical length. The audio distortion deepened. Then, at the bottom of the stairs, something blocked the light. Not a figure, not a shape, just an absence where illumination should have been. The darkness did not move. It did not resolve into anything identifiable. It remained fixed, absorbing the light around it. The camera struggled. The image pulsed. The man stood frozen in the living room, watching the feed without blinking. The second character was present elsewhere in the house, unaware of what the camera was showing. The light flickered. The absence remained. Then the feed cut out. Not to black, not to static. The app simply returned to the camera selection screen. The basement camera was listed as offline. The man did not approach the stairs. He waited. Minutes passed, then hours. The camera reconnected on its own. The basement was dark. The logs showed no outage. The following morning, the basement light was on. The man did not turn it off. He did not go down. The second character noticed the light and asked about it later. He did not explain what he had seen. There was no language for it that felt accurate. From that day forward, the camera feed became unreliable. Sometimes it lagged. Sometimes it showed the basement light on when it was off in reality. Sometimes the reverse. The audio channel remained active even when muted. The light no longer turned on abruptly. It simply appeared on between refreshes, as if it had never been off. The man eventually stopped checking the feed altogether. The basement door remained closed. Weeks passed. One night, the doorbell camera sent an alert. Motion detected. From inside the house. The man opened the notification and watched the live feed as the basement light turned on again, brighter than before. This time, the camera exposure did not adjust. It did not need to. The absence at the bottom of the stairs was already there, waiting. The footage ended there. No record of what followed. The house remains occupied. The basement light is still on, and the camera still watches, even when no one does.